Hey everybody, today I'll be answering a very common question. Can you drift with an open diff? Gas. Click, gas. This was pretty sad. Right now I'm in my 2001 BMW E46 330 Ci, and it's pretty much a perfect candidate for this video because it is rear-wheel drive and it has an open diff. I'm pretty sure most of you know what an open diff is. For those of you that don't know, it's basically just a standard differential. Every car has one, and what an open diff basically does, it splits the power between both wheels equally, but that also means once you lose traction with one wheel, almost all torque is going to go to that one wheel that lost traction. So if you go into a corner with an open diff and just hit the throttle, this is going to happen. This was pretty sad, wasn't it? So this is an open diff. Ever heard of one tire fire? Well, this is it. I recorded this a couple of days ago when the conditions were slightly better. Right now the roads are pretty dry, so it's not gonna let me do what I want. So yeah, there's also another type of a differential. It's called an LSD, limited slip differential. And what that does, it's basically the same as an open diff, but when one wheel loses traction, it starts sending power to the other wheel that has traction. So then it's easier to break traction with both wheels, and that is really good for drifting. So in an LSD car, it would go a little something like this. Because in an open diff car, if you break traction with only one wheel, you're not gonna slide, you know? The rear end is not going to step out. You really have to break traction with both wheels. And by just punching the gas, this is not going to happen. You have to flick the car, make the rear end step out, and then hit the throttle. And I'll show you this right now. So now I'm gonna show you how you can maximize your chances of getting into a slide with an open diff. You flick the car and gas. See? You flick, gas. You know, that wasn't really very good. I can do better. I have some clips of me doing better. I can show you right now. However, an open diff can also quit on you mid-drift. You think you're doing good, but then you add too much throttle and only one wheel starts spinning. you let off the throttle and both wheels gain grip, or one wheel gains grip, and it's just, you know, it's super frustrating sometimes, and it's really difficult. It makes you feel like a bad driver. You really want to modulate that throttle. You don't want to step on it, you don't want to be too gentle with it. Just, you know, you have to get a feeling for it, because if you add too much throttle, you're likely going to end up with one tire fire, because too much power is going to go to the diff and it's gonna find the path of the least resistance, right? And now you might be thinking, okay, but what's with the clutch kicking? You know, why do some guys clutch kick? Yes, this is a really good technique if you want to break traction with both wheels at the same time in an open diff car. And it works almost every time, and it's really good to initiate a drift. But you have to be sure that your car is set up properly for that, because I know for a fact that if I clutch kick my car, it's basically gonna fall apart. So clutch kicking is really useful, but it's really stressful for your entire driveline. You know, it's bad for your clutch, your transmission, your guibo between the transmission and the drive shaft, your diff, your axles, and most importantly, in this car, rear subframe bushings. You know, those rubber bushings that come between the rear subframe and the chassis. Those are more than 20 years old at this point, and any kind of aggressive input, you know, like doing this with the throttle, or clutch kicking, or stuff like that, really damages those bushings. The torque goes through the differential and the differential mounting points on the subframe, and then through the subframe, through bushings to the chassis. And if you clutch kick too much, the whole subframe is gonna start doing this. It puts stress on the bushings, and those bushings get compressed and lose stiffness. And then what happens, pretty much, you're hitting your chassis with the subframe. And the chassis can crack, especially on these E46 models, which they all have a problem with. You basically crack the chassis and, you know, you're f***ed. That's why I don't clutch kick my car, because I still have stock rubber bushings in the back, and I really don't want to ruin them. I really don't want to crack this chassis. So I recommend clutch kicking a car only if you really know that it can take it. I would be more than happy to clutch kick this car if it would have poly bushings in the rear, brand new clutch, and reinforced rear subframe mounting points with those plates that you can weld on. Then I would clutch kick the shit out of this car, you know. But right now, in this phase, I don't do it. And I don't recommend any of you guys doing it to your E46s, because the consequences can be catastrophic. Unless it's a shit box and you don't care, you know, then go for it. So another way that can help you drift an open diff car is to make the rear end very stiff. And you can do that with either stiffer springs or thicker anti-roll bars. That way the rear end will be very stiff, and there will be not a lot of side-to-side movement of the body, because when you go into a corner, you really load up that outer tire with weight, and that's really bad, because once all the weight of the car is on that outside wheel, it's never gonna start spinning, you know. So to conclude everything, if you're planning to drift your car, just please get an LSD, or for a budget drift car, you know, weld the diff. I would say you can slide with an open diff. You cannot drift with an open diff. There are some heroes out there that can drift an open diff car. I'm definitely not one of them. I've seen people drift open diff cars, and I was really impressed. But you know, that's just too much risk for me. If you're gonna try to drift with an open diff, it's really going to be hard for you. It's gonna make you feel like a bad driver. You're gonna be stressed all the time, and it's really frustrating. So, you know, invest in that proper LSD, or just weld the diff, because that's gonna be so much more easy for you. So that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new, or saw things from different perspective. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me, or what is your take on this, and I'm really happy to participate in any kind of debate that might start. So yeah, Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.